Right, let's hear from our panelists this morning. Of course, we can't just continue without really getting a sentiment from them this morning. Kanda ya mwoko, right? That is what Kalonzo Musyoka is saying that I'm willing to do. So will it really buckle down to KOIM? We can just begin with you, Senator Aaron Cheruiyot. What do you think about this pronouncement by Truly? And then, of course, he's getting a backlash from the community as well.
Even on this one,
this is the spirit of handshake.
Even on this one, you want to begin with me.
Why not?
Why not, Debarl? Anyway, good morning, Kenyans. And first of all, I'd wish to continue to convey a message of goodwill to our students who are continuing to sit the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examination, wishing them well as they tackle today's exams. Of course, wish them success. And first of all, I also want to commend the Ministry of Education for the manner in which they have executed this very important exercise. I think so far so good, and our students are sitting the examination in an environment that is commendable. Secondly, about this particular story, what is wrong with Kalonzo saying that he wants to be the president's right-hand man? There is absolutely nothing wrong.
There's a difference between right-hand man and
Kanda ya Mwoko.
Kanda ya Mwoko.
Well, to me, what the message appears to be is that Kalonzo is saying, if my coalition partner or former coalition partner Raila Odinga is doing it, that they are working hand in hand with the president in achieving unity for the country, then what is wrong in me also trying to pursue the same? And therefore, I think those wiper leaders that are castigating former vice president for this pronouncement are ill-advised. They are not reading the signs of the time, because the mood of the country right now is one of collaboration, where people are seeing a lot of sense in leaders pulling together in achieving. At least that is what the president and former premier have told us, that they want to tackle the nation's most pressing problems. And therefore, as they do that, of course, the truth of the matter is that for those who it keeps alive their political life, whether they will be contesting for office or not, at least it keeps them, there's some political limelight that it gives them. And you will only be a fool or a political novice to try and stay away from that kind of an arrangement. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with what Kalonzo is saying. I support him in that initiative.
All right, let's say from Boni Khalwale, is this now truly the good tidings of the handshake as well? That now even you can buckle under and polish apples as well? Because that appears to be a statement of polishing apples.
We shouldn't give the impression that when individuals, powerful individuals, and members of their families get national appointments, that is good tidings for Kenyans. It's got nothing to do with Wanjiku, with Khatiala, with Achieng. Completely nothing. I remember after the second presidential vote,
yes,
and when we were agitating that wakiapisha na sisi tutaapisha, we differed in the boardroom because we were in the driving seat. We differed on whether swearing in should go on or not. And in the heat of the moment, we ended up exchanging tweets with Miguna. We were in the same team at that time. And I told him in my tweet that these people are cutting deals. I was at that time privy to that information. And Mituna got so piffed up that he blocked me, that I was now an irritant. Now, it came to pass that then Raila got his opportunity to arrive in Canaan. And at that time, I remember, if Kenyans will go through my tweets, saying that the guy is actually looking for a job. So he got the job. Now, Kalonzo, it has taken a little bit longer, but he's now gotten a job. Kenyans should now realize that our so-called leaders are merely taking positions so as to get personal returns. It is therefore not surprising that Kalonzo and Raila, you heard what Gideon Moi said when he was at Kalonzo's house 1 week ago, that they were waiting for him at Kabarak. So what's happening is that they're trying to create a little level of comfort around Kalonzo, around Raila, so that they package themselves, Kalonzo, Raila, Gideon Moi, and whoever they are going to add there, so that they attempt to amend the constitution for the ruling families to perpetuate themselves one more time.
But information also trickling to us informs us that yes, even Kalonzo Musyoka is following suit, like to get just a position within the AU, just as Raila Odinga.
In fact, the breaking news this morning at 5 a.m. was that Kalonzo has now arrived in Juba. He has now taken up, he was accompanied by CS Juma this morning. He's in Juba. He has taken up his job as the person responsible for monitoring the progress of peace in South Sudan.
He has a new security detail as well?
Yes, exactly. So the point I wanted to conclude by saying is that some of us appear to be changing our political tune, and people think it is a knee-jerk reaction. But as experienced positions who rely on credible information to make informed decisions, we know that there is a grand plan. So as a political confirmation is created to reward these so-called players, if they don't come from the political dynasties, so that by rewarding them, they help the political dynasties to perpetuate themselves. And because we have this information that we are accordingly informed,
yes,
we have changed tact so that even as we are hit because people don't understand what we are doing, we still remain in a position whereby we are going to fight for Mwananchi. Mwananchi is not going to benefit when these people are sharing jobs. So we will do it. We congratulate Kalonzo. We congratulate Raila. We were with them. It's good they have gotten jobs. We are not sulking because we don't have those jobs. But we are saying, by dint of what we are saying, we are now going to roll our sleeves. We know they are preparing themselves. We're going to roll up our sleeves so that we are the other children of God who are also in this country. We have the so-called the children of God, who God created, but people want us to be the lesser children of God. So we're going to face each other.
All right, Jakoyo Midiwo, good morning.
And this, by saying face each other, I mean that if they attempt to bring the Constitution so that now the amendment of the Constitution so that they regularize what I've spoken to, we are going to oppose that particular attempt to amend the Constitution. And if they don't and they say we go to the election, yes, they'll be on that side as the children of the rich, and we shall be on this side as children of the common Mwananchi.
All right, Jakoyo, so what does it really matter? Why should this particular formation be so important to Uhuru Kenyatta, or this particular doling out of jobs to some of the political opponents before now turning out to be friends? Why should it really matter? After all, he wouldn't be there after 2022.
A child of the rich.
Yes.
No, but it should really matter. Because I think Uhuru Kenyatta is doing the right thing. I think this whole attitude of winner take all, we must surpass it somehow. This issue of winner take all. I don't think it is the right way to direct our country. I think we need to move from the confrontational path, move away from it. What I find interesting, Debarl, is that Khalwale is negotiating with William Ruto, and Kalonzo should not negotiate with Uhuru Kenyatta. Khalwale, you must be righteous a bit. Just a bit.
He's a child of a lesser god, he says.
No, he's not. Khalwale now is swimming in corruption. He's not a corrupt man, but he's in there. He's dancing with the corrupt. But what would be so wrong with Kalonzo being a Kenyan? If Raila can talk to Uhuru, why can't Kalonzo talk to Uhuru? I actually think it is the right thing to do. I also think that the Kenya we want is a parliamentary system of government that should, in the next 5 years, accommodate Musalia Mudavadi, accommodate Moses Wetangula, accommodate Raila Odinga, accommodate Uhuru Kenyatta, accommodate William Ruto, accommodate Gideon Moi. These are our leaders. You know, you want to run away from them at your own peril. They are really the people who are there. And it should also begin to accommodate the good performing governors like Kivuda Kibwana, Mbeta Oparanya, those ones, so that we can leapfrog, leap our country into the future. And I think for the temporary thing, as somebody whose people get killed every 5 years, I think we need to negotiate our way into the future, because Kenya is not sitting in a good space. And I think I want to send Wamatangi to go and say it to his people that the temporary quiet does not mean peace. It means that sooner or later you are going to fight again. And we don't need that for our country. I think we need to negotiate our way out of it. And for me, I think when Kalonzo talks to the presidency, whether he's talking to Ruto, whether he's talking to Uhuru, I think it can only be good. I mean, what's wrong with leaders talking? In my view, we will only have one president, and we will choose them in about 44 months. We will get there. But for right now, I think we need peace.
Okay. Right. Let's hear from Senator Kimani Wamatangi. Good morning.
Morning, Debarl. And also let me say good morning to our viewers. And just before I make my comment on that, Debarl, I think if we have a column or space for quote of the day, I think it should be Jakoyo Midiwo's. You know, that last statement that he made, that we need to negotiate our way into a better future. I think that should be the quote of today, if there is a column for that in this show. I mean, because you know, for a long time we have had the engagement with Jakoyo, but you know, today I've heard him speak very wisely. You know, Debarl, let me just say one or two quick things very quickly on what on that Kalonzo story. One, you know, as a Kikuyu, I can tell you a few things about the coining of this term, KYM, Kadayamoko. Yeah. I mean, because people don't seem to really understand it very well. I mean, because you know, this term was coined. First, let me explain to our viewers the meaning of the name Kanda. Kanda means guy, but not really just a normal guy. It means a sly guy. I mean, it means it means a shrewd guy. Shrewd guy. Yes. I mean, you can call a man either, you know, Modo, Kanai, or you can call him Jaba if he's whatever. But when you call somebody Kada in the language, you're referring to a very shrewd fellow. Oh. I mean, and two, so now when you add the Yamoko, you know, Kada Yamoko, you're referring to a fixer, hand. A shrewd fixer. and in the court terms, you know, in the courtier's term, you're talking about a guy who fixes things around the court and is the most influential outside the court, other than the main guy himself. And so when you hear people referring at that guy is the KYM of Wamatangi, he's referring to a very strong guy, a very sharp fellow who is able to fix things inside my court, get me convinced and see things in a different way, and basically leads my my momentum. and does the fixing out there. You know, I mean, for example, if you remember when we were talking about the late Mark Too, and he was being referred to as Mr. Fix-It on some issues, that if you would refer him in the language, you'd have called him, you know, KYM for Moi at that particular time. So when Kalonzo is speaking about him being, if he is referred to, and if that's the sense of the word when he says that, I don't mind being Uhuru's, you know, KYM, then the guy is talking big for himself. I mean, because he's saying he wants to occupy serious space and do real things. And so I don't think that there is anything that is negative about that. But let me say also something to my good friend Boni. You know, we are buddies. But something is interesting here, Boni, because if you remember in the last you know, government and the last setup, one of the major issues that you campaigned as a team against, not you individually, was that it is not right, Debarl, that political maestros like Kalonzo Musyoka, like Raila Odinga should be left out there in the cold. Actually, that's one of the main issues. You remember when they were drumming up around town, how can you leave somebody like with the experience of Raila out here in the cold for 5 years and so on? Now, so comes a time when it's actualized. And somebody comes and says, okay, fine, we can talk, we can agree, we can build bridges, we can, as Jakoyo says, negotiate our way into a better future. So what is wrong with that? I do not see anything wrong in them being able to put their heads together, you know, have a discussion. Kalonzo gets busy, I mean, around the continent. We do things out there in Juba and the other places. Raila goes around the AU, he has his work. Politics moves on. This is, in my view, not about 2022. I mean, when it gets to 2022, we know what to do. We know where we are going. Yeah, we know who the candidates are. And we know whom we are going to fix in there.
But of course,
that's
even
story.
Deputy President Ruto has termed himself as Kanda ya Moko of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah, sure.
I think no one has really taken scruples with that. Let's hear from
There's just something I want to say, Debarl. We shouldn't lose sight of something very interesting. I'm not an expert in Kamba politics, but I know for a fact that there is a sort of a seeming rebellion being engineered around the personality of one governor for Makueni, Kivutha Kibwana, because if you read yesterday's papers, Governor Kibwana is one of those also who have sort of come out strongly against the pronouncement by former vice president and asking him, where does this leave us as a community if you're calling yourself, sort of just disparaging him and saying he has lost it. And when you listen to insiders, they tell you there are people who are beginning to whisper to the ears of one Kivutha Kibwana that he could actually take the place of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka in the Kamba politics. And you must remember that at the height of it, or one of the main engineers of that rebellion is the gentleman we've just seen speaking there, former colleague of Boni Wamatangi and I at the Senate, that is Senator Johnston Muthama, where even at the funeral, and this really shocked me, I don't know if the rest of the panelists saw it, I saw some gentlemen who came to the funeral wearing T-shirts that had a picture of him, and there was some Kamba words written on it. I probably couldn't understand what it meant, but then following up quickly with it on Sunday, sort of trying to challenge Kalonzo. It goes back to the fallout that they had the main election last year. You remember Muthama never contested for any seat because of his fallout with Kalonzo over who becomes a Wiper candidate in Machakos for governor. And therefore, what I read out of this trying to distort what Kalonzo was saying is the continuous pursuit to try and undercut him in Kamba politics, which is something very important that maybe those who are expert in this field can tell us. I do not think it's a light task as Muthama and Kibwana will like to imagine. Therefore, if I would be advising them, I would ask them to concentrate on other things. I still think for...
But they're just seeking clarity. Yeah. But they said, of course, we want to understand what you truly meant, but you being a Kanda ya Moko.
You know.
So there's no really undercutting.
Debarl, in politics, you must learn to listen to what is not being said more than even what is being said.
The underlying tone.
The underlying tone. Just the fact that you can challenge your leader even after he went public and say, na mtu asiniulize maswali. You know, Kalonzo said that. But the following day, less than 24 hours after it, Kivutha Kibwana and Mudhama are already asking him questions. What does that tell you? That they are already ready for a rumble with him. And therefore, it is for us to observe the times and see, will they be up to the task? Can they take on Kalonzo in Kamba politics?
So will this move actually put Kalonzo's political career on the chopping block? If he tries to now, side with Uhuru Kenyatta, so to speak, as in, take this particular offer and become the errand boy that he claims he will be. What happens to his political career?
My mind is now clearer, having listened to my brother Wamatangi. I didn't know what those things meant in vernacular. But now it is clearer. What what Kalonzo is doing and what he has said is in no way different from what Raila did and said at the height of the handshake. Yes? At the height of the handshake on 9th of March, we were also asking, the way Mudama has asked Kalonzo, that Mr. Former Prime Minister, can you tell us, what is it? What have you agreed? Again, we are asking Kalonzo the same thing.
Yes.
Basically, what these two guys are doing, they have their eye on the election of 2022, and they are dying for an endorsement from Uhuru, because they believe there might not be any presidential candidate from Mount Kenya, and therefore endorsement by Uhuru guarantees them 4.5 million votes thereabout from Mount Kenya. So Kalonzo, he's telling his people, I know what I'm doing, don't ask me. To me, he hopes to be endorsed. Raila Odinga hopes to be endorsed. These little things we have been seeing him doing around the Mount Kenya community functions reveals what I'm talking about. I am afraid that the other two co-principals, Wetangula and Mudavadi, seem not to be smelling the coffee.
But they're smelling the chicken, maybe. You can see that editorial cartoon there.
They cannot fail to do.
In the sense that by so doing, Kalonzo is hoping to attract votes from new area, Mount Kenya. By so doing, Raila is hoping to attract votes from the new area, Mount Kenya. Unfortunately for them, those votes, they are perceived to be waiting to go to Ruto by dint of what Ruto has done with the president for the last 10 years at two different general elections. So I want to urge my two brothers, Tangula and Mudavadi, to also smell the coffee and also make their own friends. I hope they are not going to declare that watakuwa watu wa mkono wa Uhuru in the process. There's one point I want to make.
I want you to comment on that cartoon before you make your own comment as well. Is over here. So you're saying who is next actually will cross over this particular door? Kitchen. Then we have Kalonzo now, who's near the door. That is in the People Daily today. But you have the cartoon there.
Yes.
And then we have Mudavadi, who is facing the other way, and Wetangula.
Kalonzo has already crossed. I've told you that at 5 a.m. this morning there was breaking news that he has gotten his job. So he has crossed.
He's in the kitchen.
So what happens to Mudavadi?
The next is now Mudavadi and Wetangula.
And you're the chief advisor of Mudavadi?
Of both.
or of both, actually, of both. Wetangula and Mudavadi.
No. Yes.
I am not the advisor. But
or you sit in the board of the advisory board? We're trying to fix you this morning.
Yes, I am not the advisor, but I'm aware that Mudavadi has recently been packaging himself better than he did in the past. If you watched him and heard him at Kalonzo Musyoka's father's funeral, he attempted to raise a position because he spoke to public debt and spoke some positive issues which all I can't remember, which was completely different from what the other people spoke. So if he continues packaging himself in that good manner, then it means he is unlikely to cross that gate that you have, that huge gate that you have put there. Is unlikely to go through. Wetangula will not. He will not. I know him. I'm his deputy. He knows exactly the things I'm talking about, and he knows that kuingizwa huko is to end up being put in the same gauge with people who want to help the dynasties to perpetuate themselves. So Wetangula will not, and I hope he will be on our other side. If he doesn't, then people
Which
in
other
Bungoma,
side? Which other side?
of defending Wanjiku from these people who are now assembling.
Dynasties versus hustlers.
Yes, yes. I'm hoping that he will be on our side. If
So-
he doesn't, yes?
So this is the hustler and the dynasty we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, exactly.
So which side are you actually on? Aside from Wanjiku, is a hustler.
My natural side. My natural side. Where for information, I'll be joined by Wamatangi, because Wamatangi has nothing to do with those dynasties of theirs. I know where he has come from. He's a self-made man. The only person who will never be with us at this one pattern is the son of this dynasty of Jaramogi. Yeah.
Of course, Wamatangi positioned
now-
himself to be, while we know Mudavadi is seeking for
No. Don't
for
take the
running
mic.
mate. So Wamatangi positioned himself last week.
Last week, yeah. Very good. You had it.
Go first. All right,
No,
let's
no,
see.
before he goes, I have not responded to you. You had raised a very important issue. The issue you said, winner take it all. I want Kenyans to be aware of this statement. It was used in it has been used by Raila's corner at the end of every general election. Of winner take it all.
Yes.
Once he loses, he now starts pushing for agenda that will slowly find him back into the same government that he was defeated to form. We want Kenyans to know that going for election is a competition. And in a competition, there is a winner and a loser. Can you imagine at the Olympics, Usain Bolt has broken the world record. He wants to take his medal, and you say, no, he defeated me. We have to change so that we share this medal of the winner of the fastest man in the world. That's what you're telling us. So that is not democracy, it's your own manenos. And Wamatangi, with due respect, please understand us. You don't know us, the ones who have been who are still in the trenches. The reason why we were talking about inclusivity, we were not looking for jobs for Raila and Kalonzo and Mudavadi and Wetangula. We were speaking to inclusivity to mean that the constitution must be exercised, where it provides that affirmative action should be practiced so as to include all regions, so as to include all communities, so as to include
Thank you.
gender.
All right, Jakoyo Midiwo.
I think you are over entertaining Boni Khalwale, because I've been here when I've heard Boni talk, and today is sounding a bit ridiculous. Boni, let me tell you, what I am telling you has nothing to do with the so-called dynasty. After all, if dynasty was was not important, Raila would never have been in prison for 9 years. He freed you. Raila has freed you. This thing you are enjoying now, the freedom you're enjoying today, was because of their sweat. Last week I heard you talk about Kenyatta, that he was just a carpenter. Yeah, he was a carpenter, but he was also, he freed us from the Mzungu. You know, sometimes it's always good, just appreciate a little bit. Appreciate just one bit. If you don't appreciate Raila as a freedom fighter and as a Pan-Africanist, I don't think we will have no reference in our memory as a people. The same way they appreciate the JFK, the same way the George Washington, you know, those people. I was not in the same campaign team with you. And I feel very disappointed that you don't have a platform. I feel very bad that Hassan Omar doesn't have a platform. I feel very bad that we have a system that excludes Martha Karua, Peter Kenneth, all these people without appreciating them. I think we could find space for all of us, in my view. And I think you must, in your support for William Samoei, please also figure out that the rest of us exist. You know, I know you really make the senator here from Kericho very happy when you are a sycophant. But what is it? What are we appreciating him for? Why are we not? Why is Paul Muite? Why is all these other people? You know, there are people that Kenyans can actually kneel down to pray for God to protect. For you, you are looking for power. And that power we shall never give you. Trust me. You tell us that you shall rule us until 2032. We will make sure that you go home. And for you, I want to tell you as a friend that I really wish you have a place in this movement so that you can protect Wanjiku, because that is what we have always known you for. But I know for a man of your caliber to stand up and question Dolphin Hotel, to stand up and question choppers, to stand up and question a building, a house of 1 billion shillings, and then all of a sudden just turn around and think we are not watching you. We are watching you because you are better than that.
Right of response.
You get right of response.
He will get it.
Can we just let's hear from.
This debate must be controlled. Because
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's hear from.
It is not really about Boni Khalwale and Jakoyo Midiwo. Neither is it about
Fantastic.
Cheruiyot.
We won.
So
It's Cheruiyot. Let's hear from Cheruiyot.
It is my opportunity, and then when you has come, you also got your views.
It's you then me.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Actually, it is very.
It is it's
It's that is with him.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
sure.
You're
So,
right. You're right.
so you know, and the discussion, Debarl, cannot be narrowed down to Jakoyo Midiwo and Boni Khalwale and their different political views, because these are different political views really, and we have also to appreciate the dynamism of opinion,
Right.
and scope.
Would you allow me to just butt in when we circle back? We continue with you. We take a short break right now.
Fine,
Right. Let's
fine.
take a station break right now. When we come back from the station break, we continue the conversation. Also, the debate about ICC is coming to the fore. What is it all about? Right. We hear also from our panelists today with that new development, as well as far as the Kenyan politics is concerned. Don't go away. Much more coming up. Right, welcome back. You're watching People and Politics here on AM Live. Of course, also we have reactions on Twitter. Valentine Mwamburi, she's saying, who doesn't know Kalonzo? After all, he was very clear in his statement. He said nobody should ask him questions. However, if Modama wants to know how Manga Kalonzo can be aulize maswali, right? This is what we have from Valentine Mwamburi there. Just we'll mount it momentarily for you to see. There you go. Also, she says that anybody complaining about Kalonzo Musyoka saying he wants to be KYM to Uhuru Kenyatta is ignorant of the caliber of politics leaders we have in Kenya. For man from Sekuru, personal interest supersedes national interests. Also, Kennedy Omogi saying let leaders work together. Nothing wrong in working together. Beng Charlie saying about Kenya negotiating its collective future. A round of applause for Jakoyo Midiwo. Also, Benedict Siano is saying Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka should clearly tell the Kamba community what benefits will his alliance with Uhuru bring. Remember, he's the kingpin of the Kamba politics as well. Your reactions here on Twitter, we'll continue to sample them, of course, in the course of the program. But for now, we circle back with Kimani Wamatangi. Hope you've not lost your track of thought as well.
Well, I almost did.
You almost did.
But I mean, what was interesting, me almost making me lose my track of thought is that reference you've made, to that last statement by Kalonzo that he's also going to be a manga.
Not to be Valentine.
like his dad. And, I hope manga in the right sense. I mean, because if it is manga for his own benefit, then it certainly doesn't serve the Kamba people. But Debarl, quickly on that one, I think we also need to really, for the sake of posterity and a better future for this country, that we also don't have to be baying for blood as followers of politicians all the time, that we are only happy and praise people when we know that they are in the opposition and throwing rocks and stones at government. Okay, it's definitely there has to be criticizers of systems. I mean, there has to be an opposition, that is granted. I mean, you definitely can't have a behemoth of song singers heading to only one direction where any disagreement is not allowed. And for that matter, that is why we have also to support those who positively criticize all the time any system that is there. But also to seem to foment and support that mentality that all the time when we are working at cross purposes, then we seem to be doing good politics. I think that's something that we need to point out very clearly, even to our viewers, that yes, for a time like now, when we have done with our elections, and now it is a period in between we go to another election, when then we should hold governments to account on the promises that they have made. That we have said we are going to do this, so this period show us that what you said you will do it, and the trickery of it is this, Debarl, and to our viewers, that you get sold to that mentality at your own cost, because then you can enjoy the ride in the hype and psych of high octane politics, but if you do not then reserve that time to hold those people that you elected to account, they'll come and cheat you again at the end of that 5-year cycle. And so at all levels, from the lowest, from MCAs all the way up, I'm speaking like a Kenyan who wants the best for this country, that we also have to look at things that way. But now, lastly, to that issue that my colleagues here were ventilating on, and my good friend Boni ended up saying that I need to understand why they are still in the trenches, and my brother, as you said, I have never been anywhere else, as you know, and you said very well that I will join you. Actually, you have joined me, and you are rejoining me in this sense, that you also confess that you know my history, my background, what I've stood for. And Debarl, I don't want to blow my own trumpet to the extent that I've even earned my name, Wamatangi. That's my story, it's my history, it's going to be my future. And so I don't want to pretend that I've anywhere been close or even now benefited from anything from either dynasties. I mean, if you call my family a dynasty, you would be making the biggest joke of a lifetime. I mean, we have come from very far, and if that's what my good friend here refers to as the trenches, then so be it. But I believe I'm no longer in the trenches. I'm out there now in the platform, and I have now that platform where I can speak for those who are and have been like me. That we can make this country a better place, and that when we have been given the freedom to move out of the trenches, we have to get out of those trenches and move our people forward with us. And that is why I don't consider myself any more beholden by whatever limitations I have had from my youth up to now. I have to say clearly that I have had the opportunity now to get out and speak for people like me.
Is it time for Aaron Cheruiyot, or
yes.
They'll get a rejoinder from yes?
Yeah, there's just something I want to challenge Debarl. The words by Jakoyo Midiwo that the problem with our politics is a winner takes it all approach cannot go unchallenged, because in other words, Jakoyo, then what you're telling us to do away with is that you're telling us to do away with democracy. And I do not think you have fashioned anything better than democracy, unless you can prove otherwise for us this morning. The truth of the matter is that in any democratic contest, at the end of the day, there must be a winner and a loser. And for you to come and tell us this morning that those who lose in elections should find ways of being accommodated. You know, you should even begin with yourself, Jakoyo. Where has, for example, the person who took over from you as MP for Gem accommodated you? I mean, you are a Democrat. You've allowed him the space to work. So even the people you are batting here for should just follow your example and accept that when you lose in a political contest, you stay away and say, let those who the people thought that were deserving to lead have that opportunity to lead. When the time comes for us to get a new round of elections, then at that point they will speak. You know, Jakoyo, this continuous, this is just a small comment. You know, this continuous obsession with trying to intimidate Boni will not work. You know, as a spokesman of the yes, because for the last 3 weeks you've been saying the same thing to Boni Khalwale. The fact that he is not changing nor batting his eyes, she'll tell you that it does not matter who the oligarchs sent to him. He has chosen to be with the proletariats. So you can continue to ramble on and on. These trying to cover yourselves as the clean and the nice people. Kenyans can read through your hypocrisy. You know, like you've said, Boni, Musalia Mudavadi spoke so well during Kalonzo Musyoka's dad's funeral. But there's a mistake he made. Mm-hmm. When he spoke about corruption and he tried and carve out the Mr. Clean image, somebody made a very cheeky comment on Twitter. And it helped me understand, and it is a thing that I've been telling Jakoyo week after the other, that this continuous pontification of yourselves as a clean people, Kenyans can read through your hypocrisy. Because a Kenyan asked Mudavadi, if you're for sure a sincere man, on that Saturday, where would you have been? Because on the same day that people were in Kalonzo Musyoka's dad's funeral, one man, John Gakuo, was also being laid to rest. And people were telling Mudavadi, John Gakuo laid his life down for you. He's in prison because of things that happened under his watch as your person when you're his minister. But today you're out there pontificating and looking so nice and saying, oh, we need to fight against, I don't know, there's just some mumbling he made about corruption. And therefore it is the same theory that Jakoyo continues to perpetuate on this show week after the other, cutting a squeaky clean image, thinking that Kenyans can buy that. Boni Khalwale told you last week that he has tried that for the last 2 elections, and he has realized Kenyans don't buy those lies. They know that you're lying. They can tell when you're serious and when you're cheating them. Therefore, smell the coffee, as Boni is telling you.
I'm drinking.
All right. Let's hear from Boni. We'll come to Jakoyo.
Thank you very much. I think I just want to debunk 2 points that have been raised by my brother Jakoyo. May the viewers believe me when I say that Jakoyo lacks the capacity completely to intimidate me. Point number 1, Jakoyo, you are misleading Kenyans when you say that the freedoms we are enjoying today is courtesy of only one man called Raila Odinga. Why don't you remain calm?
Like Boni was with you.
You are wrong by a mile. Because when you say like that, what do you think members and friends of the family of the leaders of the coup in 1982 feel? Their sons faced the hangman's noose. They paid by hanging. 2, Titus Adungusi, our student leader, he paid with his life. 3, Dr. Ogego was jailed for 6 years. 4, many Kenyans were shot on that day. 5, students of the University of Nairobi were expelled from the university. For your information, at the age of 22, I was one of those students expelled. Please don't convert Raila into a demigod. He played his role and we say thank you very much. But the others who played their role, please acknowledge them. The second point you're making of Ruto, the dirty man. You've said it week in, week out for the last three weeks. How it has come out this morning, I don't understand. But let me now request you that if people say things about you, and then I ask you to clarify, and then you clarify, there's nothing I can do beyond that. Come to you, for example, Mheshimiwa. People are telling me that thanks to your corrupt practices, you own a hotel in Kisumu called Mama Miriam Hotel, where you have hosted me. 2, they are telling me that thanks to your corrupt practices, you have grabbed land belonging to railways in Kisumu opposite the new Acacia Hotel, where you run, is it a discotheque or a club or something? My brother, this thing of dirty man, illiterate man, and whatnot, if you must bring it on this table, as lawyers said, if you must ask for justice, you must do it with clean hands. Are your hands clean?
Very. Very. You know, you would wish to get me into some corruption. At least I don't have 4 choppers. I don't own Dolphin Hotel.
Talk about Miriam Hotel.
Yes.
And your club in Kisumu.
And I will tell you.
So I think you want to actually have a rejoinder? Because I think now we're degenerating to personal politics, which is not really helping this particular show.
I think the truth talks for itself.
I'll give you 30 seconds to rejoin.
But I was
move on with
next
the topic,
after him.
please.
Okay.
Wasn't time next after Boni?
That's why we're
Yeah,
saying.
you are. Continue.
Continue.
Yeah. So I told Boni last week that I think he's cheap when he talks about what people do and honest. By the way, Boni, the rent for that building opposite Acacia is 42,000 shillings, paid for every month, with a lease from Kenya Railway. I have not stolen. I don't own Western. I have not transferred a title to my name. So it's 42,000. If you want to help pay, please come and join. I'm looking for a partner. But let me just tell you, the other one I built from scratch. And if you think that is corrupt, I heard last week Senator Cheruiyot saying, I don't know, I stole from betting companies, you know.
No. I didn't say that.
No, let me just finish and you can clarify. I think that is cheap. What I have said here and now, that most of these politicians, including Boni Khalwale, they're dirty. But the one who can be president who is least dirty is Musalia Mudavadi. In my view, I've looked at all of them. I can write a book about all of them, and most of them have stolen. You know, when to associate Musalia with Gakuo, and God rest his soul in peace, that he has died because of Musalia, that to me I think is cheap politics. We are not using the airtime properly. We are not using our time here properly. But of all these crooks, he is least dirty. I've been around. It's at least, there's something about him. We are going to have to be led by somebody in this country. But when you have a thief trying to lead you, some of us must say we don't want to associate. And when you want to call me corrupt, please, we are in this forum every Tuesday morning. Bring it here. Put it on the table. But don't use the airtime to personalize issues, because I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Personalize issues against the DP always?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about public servant.
You always do it.
I'm only talking about chapter 6. I'm only talking about chapter 6.
Which doesn't apply to you.
It does. It does. That is when you are going to associate me with graft. Put evidence.
All right.
So which evidence have you put here against the DP?
Gentlemen,
No, I have
which
not. I am
evidence
not
have you
even
put
talking
here?
about the
Excuse me.
DP. And I've said is a front runner in this presidential
Fantastic.
race.
I need to butt in now, because I think now we're degenerating into personal politics, and you're using this platform to sanitize yourself, right? So you're picking up, he's maybe black sports and he's black sports, try to come and, mollify and sanitize yourself using this particular show. That is not the essence of this particular show.
It's not the
right?
essence.
I want us to focus on issues that, yes, of the politics that has been, but not personal politics. Not personal politics.